Good morning and welcome back to Mark's House and Garden UK, where I'm on my travels again. And this week I'm doing a garden tour of South Africa. And what better place to start than the beautiful villa where I'm staying this week, Maison Fougere in Franschhoek. Now I'm very fortunate because this beautiful villa, which is actually two cottages combined to make one rather large house, is owned by some friends and neighbours of ours, Wendy and John. So they've invited us to come and stay for a week. And I will now show you their low maintenance walled garden at the back of Maison Fougere. And incidentally, if you do want to see more images of the inside of the property, it is available to rent, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below this video. This is the low maintenance arid garden at the front of the cottage, and look at those beautifully clipped box trees there in big pots. I'll come back and do another video on this arid garden another time because it's quite special, and there are some features in there which are worth having a look at. But for now, let's go through the keyhole and to the back of the cottage and have a look at their wonderful low maintenance walled garden at the rear. Our friends Wendy and John, who own Maison Fougere, spend approximately 75% of their time in the UK and only 25% of their time at their home in Franschhoek, South Africa, which informs and impacts the design features of this garden. By necessity, it has to be a low maintenance lock and leave garden, and that's why a lot of the features which we're going to look at today are those which can be kind of left to their own devices for a large part of the year. Now, it's fair to say that there is someone here looking after this property whilst they're away. It's not just completely abandoned, and indeed it is let out, and as I said earlier, the details are there in the description box below this video. A large part of the garden is given over to hard landscaping and gravel and evergreen plants which require very little ongoing maintenance. For example, just look at this beautiful frangipani. Look at that, isn't that amazing? Wonderful large leaves reaching up for the sunlight. Very healthy specimen, and look how the canopy on this has been raised to reveal this incredibly interesting trunk structure. But look down there, an irrigation system. One of the elements that pops up all over this garden. It waters itself, and just let's have a look around the side of the cottage here, because you will see how they store water. These enormous tanks here are used to store the rainwater off the roof. South Africa often has floods, but it also has droughts, and there have been occasions recently when it's been illegal to water plants. Some people have their own boreholes here, which means that they can draw water from their boreholes, but this is another great way of doing it. Store water from on your roof. Low maintenance. The gravel here is also low maintenance because it helps to retain moisture and suppress weeds, and it looks lovely. And I do like here the way that they've piled boulders. I call these beach boulders, but I don't know where these originate from, around the base of the plant to make a feature of it and also give it some ballast. If you were to plant a new tree, that's a good way of holding it in place whilst it puts down roots. Again, there you will see the irrigation system, but look at the lovely bark in the sunlight on this. I'm going to show you some other barks in a moment which are also very interesting. Now this has the look of an olive tree, but I know it's not an olive tree, but it does produce fruits which are a little olive-like. Have a look at these here. I'm going to put the name of this on the screen whilst I'm talking because I have identified this using my plant identification app. Now, I mentioned trunks a moment ago. Just look at the trunk of this tree here. I wonder if you can identify the tree from its trunk. Look at it. Amazing, and look at the different textures and colours on the trunk and the sunlight here growing on the trunk. But as we go up the tree, we will see that this is, it's actually not a lime tree, it's a lemon tree. These are fruits that resemble limes at this moment, but will eventually turn into lemons. This is a lemon tree. Wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to grow a lemon tree like this at home in the UK? But what I really like about this is, again, it's low maintenance, it's got an irrigation system of its own, but the fact that the canopy has been raised draws your eye through beyond and gives that feeling of depth. This is a bougainvillea. Now, what you have to remember about South Africa is their seasons are back to front. When I say back to front, what I mean is they're kind of almost opposite to ours. We're heading into our springtime at home in the UK. It's April. They are currently heading into their autumn. This bougainvillea has just given us the show of its life, but right now it's going over. But I will put an image of what this looks like when it's in bloom on the screen for you to enjoy. An incredible plant. What I like about this plant is it's got a rather clever support, and I'm probably going to copy this idea at home in my garden. Two very simple fence posts notched together at the top to form an arch, and then this plant has been attached to those to give it support. But look at that there, a light. The cable goes down the post and into the earth, and at night lights up these beautiful trunks. Now let's move along to another part of the garden to explore some of the other low maintenance features. But before we do, that over there is a passion fruit which is about to fill that part of the wall. There's another one of those plant supports. And then the point I want to make now is that low maintenance and evergreen doesn't have to be boring. Look at the incredibly interesting structure that they've created here with these lollipops, and of course extra colour by using variegated plants. And this plant here gives the effect of box, but box doesn't do well in this bed apparently, so they've replaced box with other types of plant. An interesting point about this plant here, which has been pruned into a lovely lollipop, is some of the blossoms, and there's one of them, which have been left unpruned. In other words, they've been hidden inside the canopy, inside the bush, have turned into little fruits. Look at those. Isn't that wonderful? And again, we look along to see that lovely formal border there, which again has its own irrigation system. This wall provides privacy and security, but because it's painted white, is also a wonderful backdrop, and at night it's lit, so you get wonderful contrast between the dark green of the plants and the white of the wall. Just love it. Another example here where tree bark has been used to give interest. This is actually a grapevine which grows over this arbour and provides welcome shade on this table during the day when in the heat of the sun. What I like about this, it's also got dual purpose. It holds the lights, which you can see there, and it also disguises the irrigation system, which if you follow the tube, the pipe there, the water comes down here and feeds this pot. So that pot is watered almost secretly. Another good idea here is they've put it in a tray, so that will retain some of the water, save the water, keep the base of that plant moist, and also improve the humidity on a very dry day. Another example of a grapevine being used to great effect over here, where it's grown up this trellis to provide not only fruit, because you do get lovely grapes here, of course it's wine country, but you also get shade from that. Now this is called a stoop. Believe it or believe it not, and you wouldn't believe it looking at the weather today, but they get torrential downpours here. So the stoop there provides you with shelter from the rain and also protects the house from the elements. Now, You might not be able to see it, but this garden is on a slight incline and the water is guided, and that's why they've got these channels here. The water runs off around the side of the cottage over there in the far corner. Again, low maintenance, looks after itself, and the owners, Wendy and John, can go home to the UK and not worry about their beautiful villa being flooded. Now, I know that pool maintenance and worrying about pool maintenance is somewhat a first world problem, but just look at this here. This little robot under the water silently cleans the pool. Isn't that clever? You can see him walking up the side of the pool there, and as he does so, he's brushing and sweeping and taking away all the leaf matter. But talking of leaf matter, that's another good idea for a low maintenance garden. Most of the plants and shrubs here are evergreen. They don't give up their leaves in the winter time, which means there's very little sweeping of leaves to do, and you can see that. But should a leaf drop into the pool, it would be gathered up by an ever helpful robot down there. So there you go. Hope you've enjoyed this brief tour of a low maintenance walled garden in Franschhoek, South Africa. Again, I will put the details of this cottage in the description box below this video, and you can rent it because it's available to rent. Don't forget to check the seasons. Make sure you come when it's lovely and warm. But this garden, because it's low maintenance with its hard landscaping and gravel and evergreen shrubs which are clipped and pruned into interesting shapes, will always be beautiful. So perhaps if you're not a sun lover and you just want to sit and relax by a pool and occasionally venture out to a beautiful restaurant which are just beyond that wall there, then Franschhoek might be the place for you to visit. Have a nice day, and I'll see you soon back in the UK. Bye for now.